Hello, everybody, and welcome to a rainy Wednesday evening here. So this is not just going to be your normal MLB DFS slate because we've got a lot of weather spots to be talking about. So do us a favor here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is time for us to put our meteorologist hat, suit, meteorologist something on, Eric, because we're going to have to look at the weather today. I can't remember a slate we've had this entire season where weather has played this big of a factor. So it's going to be an interesting one, guys. I think there's a lot of different ways you could play this slate. You could roll the dice with rain. You could avoid the rain entirely. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. If you got any questions for us at all over the course of the show, hit me up in the Discord channel. If you are a Stokastic sub, if you're watching on YouTube and want to leave a super chat, go ahead and do that as well. I also want to let you guys know about a deal that we have going on for OddsShopper Portfolio EV. If you are a new user of OddsShopper Portfolio EV, if you've never signed up before, here's a great deal for you to take advantage of. Sign up using the promo code VLAD, as in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., VLAD, all capital letters, and you will get yourself a 1-week subscription for just $1, only good for new users. And then also, if people are wondering, well, isn't there normally a 7-day free trial? Because we talk about that a lot on the show. That might confuse people, Eric. The answer is yes, and that also still exists. So what would happen here is you get 7 days for free, and then after you get 7 days for just $1. So it's effectively 14 days of the tool for just $1. So that is a deal that is only going to be running until the end of the day. So if you want to get yourself a good deal for Portfolio V, 7 days free, and then a week for $1 with that promo code VLAD, check it out. Link down below in the YouTube description box. We're also screen sharing OddsShopper over at Playback. So if you guys do want to see some of the bets that pop up over the course of the night here, check out Playback and you'll be able to see some of those bets on the screen there. Eric, what the hell are we doing with the weather tonight?
I don't fucking know. I mean, this is just a disaster. I mean, I do this every single day, all day. And last night I looked at it and it didn't look that bad in any spot. Obviously, the Chicago one was fresh on my mind. So I kind of brought that up on the show on Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks on the OddsShopper channel, just broke it down a little bit. But Cincinnati was probably the one I was the most worried about last night. And the fact that we don't have any news about that one whatsoever is weird to me. And I didn't even think about Atlanta. I thought Atlanta looked fine, but apparently that just gets worse and worse and worse. So we're talking about the most popular pitcher on the slate, the second most popular pitcher on the slate, and then a lot of stacks and leverage you want to get to throughout all of these spots. Greg, I don't remember a slate quite like this one. And I didn't even mention the fact that New York isn't even clean. Like up in your neck of the woods, New Jersey, New York, doesn't even look perfect there either. And I mean, we want to stack against the Cox. So, I mean, what do we do? What do we do here today? This is just nuts.
Yeah, so the one slight positive is that I can tell you, if I look outside my window, very, very overcast. Very, very overcast. It is supposed to be stormy for the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so, but then it's supposed to be nicer later. So we could get rain at the top of the game, but then nothing after that. The Twins-Reds game, that's one. I guess we should just like a preliminary thing. We'll go through all of the different weather possible issues and what you and I are going to be doing about each individual game as we head into lock. So first, the one that you had just been mentioning there, Yankees-Angels. I'm good with this one for now. I would expect it to start in a rain delay, and there's certainly a little bit of risk involved, but I do think that the overwhelmingly most likely outcome is that there's like an hour or so delay at the top, and then they play afterwards. So as of right now, no real changes. I'm good rolling that game out. What do you make of Yankees-Angels?
Yeah, same. That one I feel pretty good about. That one I feel pretty confident is going to be, that one's going to be a part of the portfolio no matter what. But again, that's the first game to lock, which is the other fun part of that.
Yeah, that game is going to be locking at 7:05, right at the top of lock. Then you get, you know, I wonder how they decide like what game starts at 7:05 Eastern time, what game starts at 7:07 Eastern time. Like why is there the 2-minute difference? There's no other sports that really do it like that. But anyway, yeah, Yankees and Angels, to your point, that's going to be locking at 7:05. Then we've got your Minnesota Twins playing in Cincinnati. The weather looks horrific there. I have no interest in playing that game.
None. It looks awful. It looked awful last night. And it was kind of just insane. We still haven't heard from them. All of these games play tomorrow. Like all of them. They run every single one of these series back tomorrow. So you can easily get double headers in if you need to. And Minnesota and Cincy don't exactly, they're not next to each other. They're not in the same division. They're not in the same league. So they would like to get that in, and doubleheader tomorrow seems likely.
All right. And then if we look at the next game here, we've got Braves at home against the Mets. We see pretty frequent this time of year that thunderstorms could be problematic in Atlanta. This game I'm keeping my eye on. As of right now, though, especially Chris Sale, such an important part of the slate as a pitcher. As of right now, once again, a little bit of risk, kind of similar to the Yankees-Angels game, but I'm good with rolling it out. So Chris Sale, who's right now our most popular pitcher, I'm good to go to him. I think he's a cash game option as well. Once again, a little bit of risk. Not going to tell you guys it's completely risk-free, but I think the game is good to play for DFS as of now. If that changes, we'll update you guys as we go. What do you make of Braves, Mets, and the weather there?
White Sox just got postponed.
All right. Well, there we go. So that game is postponed. That is going to, a couple of things it's going to do. First off, that's an easy, we don't have to make a decision on that. We could just pull that game, but it also has to make you think that the Cubs game is a little bit more likely to be postponed.
What if they play the Cubs game? I'm going to lose my mind if they play the Cubs game. What are we doing here?
They've already canceled one game in Chicago. Obviously, the weather is pretty much the same for the north versus south side of Chicago. It's not like we're talking about, hundreds of miles of difference or anything like that. I was already going to say that I'm leaning towards fading both games in Chicago. Now I feel obviously the White Sox game, but now even more so, I feel like let's just remove the Cubs-Brewers game as well. And then obviously I've got Sims runs done here on screen. As soon as we update projections and pull those games out, I'll rerun everything. The ownership projections are going to look wildly different here in a second. But yeah, Cubs-Brewers, I'm inclined to just say let's write this game off too.
Yep, same.
Let's see what else we end up getting for weather. I'm just checking to see if any of these other games end up getting pulled. Where do you see the White Sox game was postponed, by the way?
The White Sox Twitter.
Okay.
It's a pretty official source.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that is. Yeah, press release. Who puts out a press release for? Is that? I feel like teams just say we're not playing today. Who they put out a whole press release? I mean, I guess this is one of the more exciting things that can happen to the White Sox season is a game getting postponed. You can't lose if the game doesn't play.
Cubs postponed. Taylor
there
McGregor.
We go. Easy. No Cubs.
A lot
no
of
White Sox
from a lot of people. Yeah. So anyway, Cubs done. White Sox done. That's going to completely take both of them out. So now we got two of them done. How we don't have Cincinnati that is going to get 3 inches of rain over the course of the next 12 hours or 2.5 inches of rain, how we don't have that postponed yet is beyond me. What are we doing here? What are we actually doing here?
It shouldn't be too far behind. I don't think that game is playing either.
There are storms in Tampa for what it's worth. My cousin lives there. He said it's storming.
All right.
He's like further south from the stadium, but
I mean, there is a 30 to 40% chance of rain there, so it's not, totally risk-free. I'm not as concerned about it as the other games, though. This is a really difficult weather to navigate, though.
I was just simply putting it out there because we're covering every aspect of this, and I'm like, that would be on normal nights. Our biggest concern is like, hey, Tampa. No, we have concerns everywhere, and 2 of them wiped out, so that's good. New York clear for now, yeah. So Jimmy Jam just saying that, yeah, I definitely feel the same way there. Cincinnati, this is going to get postponed, or I'm going to just absolutely lose my mind. And Atlanta, you need to pay attention to because there's going to be storms rolling right through in the next 30 minutes. So welcome to our slate that we've been given. It's not the slate that we deserve, but it's the slate we've been given.
It's probably the one we deserve, though.
Okay, then, yeah, fuck us, right?
Yeah, probably. Probably the one that we deserve. Like I said, as soon as we get some of the updates to projections, I'll rerun the Sims. But as of right now, we haven't removed all those pieces yet. Obviously, news just recently broke there for the Chicago Cubs. So now, here's what I think we have to talk about at pitcher here, Eric. How popular, this will be fun to guess. How popular does Chris Sale end up becoming in the next ownership and projections update?
You can't imagine it's going to go crazy, but Sonny Gray off the map is definitely going to take 27% and move it around. I think what we see is Framber Valdez, even in a very tough game environment against I don't even want to call them a competent offense anymore because apparently that's not true. They're just the most frustrating offense, I would say. The Oakland Athletics yesterday, another flat zero. Max Muncy getting pinch hit for after like 2 at bats for no reason, just to bring in, just ridiculousness. But they do have 100 WRC plus, only a 138 ISO against lefty pitching. But I think what we see because of the weather in Atlanta is the ownership come up to sale around like 45%. So like give him maybe 9%. But I really do think Framber Valdez is going to absorb a lot more because who do you feel comfortable clicking on anywhere else? And if we lose Nick Lodolo, who I really liked against my Twins to potentially get to in DFS, if we're going to, be rerunning things without Jameson Taillon, who I thought was going to be somebody that other people fired up in the mid-range, I think you're going to see Framber Valdez, and you're going to see pretty much those two guys, 10-7, 10-5. I think are going to end up really popular in like a single entry type combination. I don't think you feel good about anybody on the cheap end, and Taj Bradley's all right. I just want to throw out that I think Framber Valdez goes from like 10% to 20, 25. He's probably the guy who takes the biggest change for me on this slate.
I could see that. I mean, he was, all right, so sorting by ownership. Yeah, he was the third most popular pitcher on the slate. We just lost the second most popular pitcher. I thought that Sonny Gray was going to come in more owned than what his ownership projection was. Obviously, it doesn't matter now at this point in time. But you start to look at some of the other options here now, and I think by default, especially because he's fairly close in price to Sonny Gray, an $800 difference, I think we're going to see Framber Valdez become quite a bit more popular here. And then Taj Bradley as well. I think he's going to become more popular. What a weird season for Taj Bradley. We'll have to talk more about him when we get to the $7,400 range, or the 7K range, I mean. But I think we're going to get Framber Valdez probably like 25 to 30% owned. Taj Bradley probably also becomes like 25 to 30% owned. And then I'll say Chris Sale comes in like 50% owned now. Yeah,
I think that seems like a pretty good breakdown. We need a Lindy meltdown. It's been a while. No, we don't. We absolutely don't. I just want to bet on things and not have weather completely torch me here. Obviously, you can bet some strikeout unders, probably look all right because you're free rolling to some extent if they play and you run into some delays for whatever reason. But I just want to gamble with my friends, Greg.
I feel you. And well, here's one thing that is nice about the cancellations that have happened. There is nothing worse on an MLB DFS slate than going into lock and just being uncertain about whether games are going to play or not. For NBA, there's a real edge if you don't know if players are going to play or not. For MLB, though, it's a disaster because there's not like some sort of extra value that opens up when a game gets postponed. It's just super annoying to deal with. It's really unpredictable. So I actually do like this slate a little bit better than I did 15 minutes ago, just because we got some clarity on those spots.
I suppose even with the clarity, I don't feel very good about anything. There's the underdog. Took a little while, underdog. You're sleeping on us, but I am very much in the camp that as long as Atlanta plays, I'm going to like this slate. If you remove Chris Sale from this slate, just punch me in the face and call me Shirley. I mean, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Gladly. Eric used to pay a lady for that kind of behavior. It was in his past. It was before he got married, but hey, what's $1,000 here or there to that special lady with a C-section scar and a couple of bullet wounds. Nothing wrong with that. I don't judge. Everybody's got their things.
Builds character.
Yeah. So once again, just refreshing our page here to see when we get some ownership projections. I do see that that projections just got updated, so ownership's probably not going to be all that far behind either. And then I could rerun the Sims here with some of the updated data on the different pitchers. But as far as pay-up options go, we do have Chris Sale. We've got Framber Valdez, Sonny Gray. He's falling by the wayside now. We've also got Bubic as a pay-up option. Eric, all things considered, and we're going to have to make some assumptions about pitcher ownership here. Who is your preference to pay up for? Sale, Valdez, Bubic. And once again, we're going to consider ownership as a part of this too. So favorite tournament play of the pay up pitchers.
Yeah, favorite tournament play is definitely going to be Framber Valdez now. I mean, that's kind of like official. You could have stuff happen to Atlanta. You could have things happen in game with pop-ups, and the ownership's already there. So like Chris Sale's the guy I have the most exposure to, but I'm more overweight to Framber Valdez right now. I just ran everything. I mean, this is very similar to the last slate that we had with Framber Valdez, where he was on the same main slate as Garrett Crochet. It was kind of like the inverse of this, like, or I mean, I guess not inverse, the exact identical situation where Garrett Crochet was pulling a ton of ownership, and the Sims kind of preferred, hey, Framber Valdez is down here with no ownership against the White Sox. Like FanDuel, that was definitely something that we worked through. And I feel that way again today. Like, it is a scary game environment, and it's not as good of a spot as taking on the White Sox at home, being outdoors in a AAA ballpark in 100-degree weather or 95-degree weather in Sacramento. But the ownership is very low relative to where we've got Chris Sale in a weather spot. And I know Framber Valdez is playing baseball today. He might be sweating his ass off, but he's playing baseball today no matter what.
And Framber Valdez, his strikeout upside has kind of exploded as of late. So Framber Valdez, if you look at some of his more recent outings, he has really found an ability to generate swing and misses that was there at the beginning of the season, disappeared for a little bit, and now all of a sudden his last 3 starts, I understand there's been some easy matchups here, but still 12 strikeouts in 5 innings against the White Sox, 11 strikeouts in 7 innings against the Pirates, 9 strikeouts in a complete game against the Tampa Bay Rays. So over his last 3 starts, that's 32 strikeouts in the last 3 games for Framber Valdez. So that has really, really elevated his swinging strike rate and put him back on the map in terms of generating strikeouts, something that he didn't do earlier in his career. And then it was something that he had improved on the last couple of years. But then, like I said, it was lagging a little bit early in the year. Now he's got a career high 27% strikeout rate. That adds a lot of fantasy appeal to me for Framber Valdez. So anyway, just want to throw a little bit extra in there about him. But Chris Sale is my favorite pay-up option, even relative to ownership in GPPs.
Yep. Framber Valdez, 20 swinging strikes in his last matchup. I mean, 20 swinging strikes. The dichotomy of this changeup and the curveball and the sinker, the fact that they are in just wildly different velocity categories, it's so hard as a hitter, if the release point, if everything else is identical, to know what's coming out of his hand at any particular moment. And that goes without saying, but he had 23 swinging strikes the start before that against Tampa. 23 and 20, these are just numbers you don't see very often, even for a Garrett Crochet, for a Chris Sale. So yeah, I'm with you there. I do project him for a lower strikeout number than where his strikeout prop is, at like the 7.5, 6.5 number now where it sits at. It makes sense against Oakland, where they're not going to strike out an eternal ton. I mean, they have other issues that aren't necessarily strikeouts there for the Oakland lineup. And, I brought it up, 100 WRC plus 24.7% K rate is higher, but I do think the lineup that they roll out today, as long as it doesn't have Kurtz, which I kind of expect it not to, lots of ways where I just think you have a really good spot to potentially take an under on him there in the strikeout market. But then also from a DFS perspective, I do think he's got 10, 11 strikeout upside, and he's getting half the ownership of Sale in a terrible weather spot.
And we just had an ownership update. So that's why you guys see that I went over here, rerunning the Sims with some of the updated information, which is going to have now that the White Sox, the Cubs games, both pulled out here of the player pool. Kind of surprising. There wasn't really actually a significant change in projected ownership for Chris Sale. He went from 41% to 42%. And Framber Valdez also didn't see the real bump that I was expecting. He went from 18% to 20%. Bubic is now 27% owned. I didn't see that happening, Eric. I thought it was going to be Valdez that got the bump. I was wrong on that account. What do you make of it now? 27% on Chris Bubic.
Okay, so I have the ownership of where it was before and where it is after. Where did Taj Bradley go?
Taj Bradley is now 20% owned.
Okay, so we went up 1%. We still have Lodolo in right now, right?
For now, the game hasn't been postponed. So what I'm going to do right here when I finish running the Sims, because I still want to leave him in the player pool, at least for now, is I am going to do a negative ROI boost to Lodolo and the stacks in that game, but I'll run the Sims with just the exposures, relative to our current projected ownership, and they'll make the alterations afterwards, see where everything ends up landing. But yeah, for now, still in.
Son of a biscuit. Yeah, the Chris Bubic thing makes sense. You talk about somebody who's found strikeout stuff in a bottle. I mean, Chris Bubic this season has been absolutely ridiculous. It's a great ballpark to be pitching in, considering, all summer long, you're going to have the roof closed. 284 xWOBA. He has great numbers in terms of run prevention. The strikeout stuff, 26% that he's sitting at here now for the season. You get Wyatt Langford, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, and Jake Berger that all have north of 24.5% K rates. That's 4 of your top 7. This is just a spot where I get why the ownership's going there. And it's a clean weather spot. I think that's the other part, is it's a clean weather spot. I didn't see Chris Sale absorbing any of it because of that. And then the Valdez thing is still interesting to me, because are people that worried? Valdez has great strikeout stuff. It's a terrible game environment, terrible ballpark for him, but I still think we're going to see more ownership come in on Valdez than 19-20%.
Well, here we go. I am just doing like a mega negative ROI boost to Nick Lodolo. And then also I am going to go to the stacks for Cincinnati. And look, we had a lot of Cincinnati in this last run, so I'm going to nuke them so we don't get them anymore. And then I'll nuke Minnesota. But we had Lodolo as one of our more popular pitchers, or at least one of the pitchers we had the most exposures to in this sim run. And then we also had the Reds as our second most exposed stack and the Twins as our fourth most exposed stack. So don't want that to be the case. So gonna make those alterations and then refavorite the top 150 lineups. And here we go. So now, with all things being taken into account, updates for the weather, and then also me doing the ROI boost to remove Reds Twins, which I assume, we only talked about it 15 minutes ago, but are you still on board with fading Reds Twins for now?
Yeah. I gotta fade it. I gotta be off of this. It looks so bad. Just type in Cincinnati into the Google machine. It looks awful. Look at it.
I won't make the same mistake of trying to pull the weather radar up on screen, which just caused StreamYard to crash and for everything to glitch out. But yeah, if we go to the Cincinnati weather report for now, we've got like a 60% chance of rain throughout the entire night. So does that mean it's a lock to get canceled? No, but most likely yes. So that's what went in, did the pretty significant negative ROI boost. But now we've got everything updated in the data, and at least per the Sims, kind of interesting here, but we got the most of Chris Sale, which I'm on board with, second most of Bubic, and then Framber Valdez, the third most. Personally, I still do prefer Valdez a little bit to Bubic, though, Eric.
I do too. I don't get why everybody's jamming the Bubic side, other than weather and just being scared of the ballpark and 95-degree weather. That's it. That's why you don't add Valdez. But I don't really care when it's now a shorter slate than what we had before. We've lost 2 games, so those are kaput. So we got 9 games now on the slate, right? Am I looking at this right? We have 9 games. You got to play 2 pitchers on DraftKings. Chris Sale looks pretty damn good if that weather holds. And then Framber Valdez is now, I think, your next highest strikeout arm. Bubic is close. The matchup's pretty equal. I mean, I'm with you. I just like the Valdez side more.
Yeah, and we just got a super chat from Clinton Wood, who a couple of things here. First, he wants to know who we like for DK cash as well as single entry pitchers. He also says Eric's tails package equals money. Why haven't you joined yet? It's a good question. Why guys haven't you joined Eric's tails package? Go ahead and check it out. Head on over to Tails. Sign up for Eric's Tails package if you haven't already. Do you have any promos or anything going on at the moment?
No, I mean, I've tried to stay pretty promo immune, purely because I think the people who have been with me long enough understand the process, understand, that we're going to make money over any long-term sample size. People can hop in for a week here, hop in for a week there. It might be good, it might be bad. But for the most part, we're going to have sustained greatness there. And Clintwood 83, well, he's had sustained greatness in the DFS streets this season. Holy mother of God, every screenshot. We've had a pretty good pick 'em run here, although yesterday, Max Muncy getting pinch hit for cost us the 5 of 5 in the pick 6 street. So not that I'm bitter or haven't thought about that all day, but that would have been a nice $300-400 for the people. But why can we have nice things when it's 9-0 and you just pinch hit for your young guy to get at bats? Awesome job. Great job, Days.
Check out Eric's sales package for more of his picks, tips, and information. Also, Eric's video over on OddsShopper, Eric's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Check that out if you aren't already. That's free content that Eric is putting out every single day. So
to answer your question, though, I mean, DK Cash right now, I would go Sale Valdez.
Sale Valdez for me as well. I know that Bubic is more popular, but it's not like it's so much more popular that it makes him like a must roster guy in cash games or anything like that. So Sale Valdez for myself as well. I think there's a little bit of consideration for Taj Bradley. If you're in a situation where you can't fit in another pay up pitcher for whatever reason, then I don't hate going to Taj Bradley as opposed to Framber Valdez. I guess the same thing could be said as well. If you're struggling to find the extra $1,000, it's not the end of the world if you go Bubic instead of Valdez. But my preference is going to be Sale and Valdez. For single entry, though, so not talking cash here, but a single entry GPP, for that kind of setting, I prefer going to Sale and Taj Bradley to save some of the salary there, Eric. Because if I start to look at the pitchers and by the way, the 8K range is like dead now because we have Chris Bubic at $9,500. Then it's Lodolo at $8,200, but I'm writing that game off. So then the next most expensive pitcher is Trevor Rogers at $7,900. That puts us at a $1,600 gap between the third and fourth most expensive pitchers on the slate that we potentially be considering here. So once we get into the 7K range, Eric, I think that the field is overlooking Taj Bradley a little bit here. I also realized I should do a negative ROI boost to Bailey Ober because he might be in some lineups. But Taj Bradley is really interesting to me. He obviously has tremendous stuff. The strikeouts have been oddly all over the place. Like all of a sudden he can't generate strikeouts. Then all of a sudden he's getting a ton of strikeouts. Then all of a sudden the strikeouts are gone again. But you look at him, he came up through the big leagues his rookie year, 28% strikeout rate. Last year, 27% strikeout rate. Now it's at 21% so far this year. I think there's a lot of upside to go there. So Taj Bradley, I like him the most if we're looking at the pitchers in the 7K range. What do you make of Taj Bradley? He is the most popular pitcher in this range, but it's still sub 20% ownership.
Yeah, still sub 20% ownership. And the interesting thing with Taj Bradley overall to me is what we make of the ground ball splits, because he actually had really good ground ball inducing stuff against lefties, 58% ground ball percentage, whereas against the righties, it's at 44%. Now, when you look at this lineup that you're dealing with, obviously you want the ground balls with as many lefties as you get in that lineup. But like Westberg, Laureano, Sanchez, Mayo, like all four of them look really interesting for tournaments as like filler into lineups because of, the fly ball tendencies against righties so far this season. But yeah, he's really doing a good job right now against lefties, even though the home run to fly ball ratio a little bit higher against them as you might expect, but not great strikeout stuff right now. I don't know what to make of it, Greg. I don't know if it gets a lot better as we go along here. This guy was always feast and famine. Remember when they got sent back down out of the middle of nowhere after some ridiculous strikeout performances to start off because he had some control issues, had some location issues. Doesn't really seem like any of that's existent, but he has such a quick hook now as well. Like he's had a couple of quick hooks on him. It's really frustrating, but I'm with you. It's like, where else do you go? Who else do you feel confident clicking on? And that's where Taj Bradley makes the most sense on this slate now.
Yeah, there is somebody you guys could see on screen the Sims like quite a bit, and obviously it's a good matchup for him. But we'll have to talk a little bit more about him here in a second. But in the 7K range, yeah, for me, Taj Bradley, pretty clearly the number one go-to guy. And then other pitchers in the 7K range, just even with the slate now being shorter, there is nobody else who is more than 10% owned who has a 7K price tag on them. Trevor Rogers is 5% owned. Verlander's 8% owned. Erod is 8% owned. I don't really like anybody else. Oh, by the way, Bailey Ober's 8% owned, but we're also kind of writing that spot off. Anybody else that you like in the 7K range? I know you said it's like, who else do you compare Taj Bradley to? But we're talking about guys we actually like. Is there anybody who, as you like to say, can tolerate in the 7K range?
No, I'm going lower. We got my guy Yarborough on the slate. We got Logan Allen in San Francisco. Sims Tool sees what I'm seeing. These are the guys that I was always going to play a lot of. Obviously now the New York weather makes it a little bit more interesting, but 7K range is pretty much Taj Bradley, and that is all she wrote.
All right. Let's go ahead and answer a super chat from Coley Poston. Coley Poston wants to know one entry in the 318. It was the $33,180. By the way, how did they come up with that being the buy-in amount? $3,180. Why is that the number? Is there some significance to that number that I'm missing?
I'm guessing the rake has something to do with it, maybe, where 180 might be like the money that comes in there, and then the 3K just makes it clean for them to put in the price pool. That's what normally happens in poker. Like when I've played, the 1,118 or like there's always dumb numbers, but that's always like the rake that you're paying so that it's a clean payout structure.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 3,000 hit club tournament, which whatever. So that's why it's 3,180. I don't know. Maybe you're right. It's something to do with the rake. But anyway, $3,180 entry over on DraftKings. Coley Post wants to know what pitcher should he go with. I'm going to say Chris Sale and Framber Valdez.
Yep. I like that combo right now. And I'm looking at some of the lineups. I don't completely hate them. I have some like Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I've got some interesting stacks that don't have to utilize Ohtani Sale. And I actually have a couple of them with Ohtani Sale. So don't mind that idea whatsoever getting to the two expensive guys now.
Let's talk punt options then. Sub 7K, we've got two pitchers that are pulling some ownership. Nothing crazy, but 12% ownership going to Ryan Yarborough, 13% ownership going to Logan Allen. In the Sims, though, Eric, look at the amount of exposure that we ended up getting on this last run to Ryan Yarborough, 33%. So Sims taking a pretty big stand on Ryan Yarborough. Logan Allen, we also came in 2x the field on him, where he 12% owned, we got to 25% of him. So Sims actually do like getting overweight to both of these cheap starting pitchers. Do you like Yarborough, Allen, neither, or both for tonight?
Yeah, both. I like Ryan Yarborough a lot. I've liked him all year. He's burned me one time from a betting perspective. Otherwise, it's been like just all systems go, beautiful stuff. He's kind of played himself into that back end starter role for the Yankees. He had a quick hook the last two. He didn't look all that good against Boston first time out, but he kind of cleaned it up the second time around. And then Boston, you kind of do the matchup thing because you don't want to face some of those righties when you can have a lot of available righties and really good ones on the Yankees side coming out of that pen. So he ended up getting an understandable quick hook last time out. Fortunately, didn't bet him there, but absolutely bet him here over 4.5 strikeouts. Nice plus money. Angels strike out at a 28.8% clip. Just a 68 WRC plus against lefties. Like traditionally, you have a lineup of 9 righties, or in this case, 8 righties that you're going to roll out there. One in Nolan Schanuel up top into the 2-hole. Like you're going to see, hey, they're going to just still murder the left side. No, it's kind of similar to Houston right now. Like what is going on with these teams where these righties are just better against righties and doing well? And it's a disaster. What are we laughing about? What happened?
Nothing really. I'm just looking at green check mark had answered the reason why the contest is $3,180. He said because $8,647 wouldn't fill. I don't know. Just looked at that and thought it was kind of funny.
That is pretty funny, actually. That's great. I just didn't know. I'm usually paying attention to you in shows, so I just wanted to let it be known. It must be nice for one of us.
I'll throw it up here on screen. We've got.
Oh, look at that.
Where'd it go?
Producer Greg Ehrenberg. Oh, it's okay. Take your time, EMAC.
It was here somewhere.
EMAC.
Oh, whatever. I see it in the YouTube chat, but it's not showing up in StreamYard, that comment.
EMAC posted the NBA lineups page in our chat too, so that was nice of him. Any cash plays on FanDuel pitchers? I'm leaning Allen. I'm interested.
Yeah,
don't play him. Play Sale or Valdez.
Yeah, and we'll talk FanDuel pitchers in a quick second here. Is there anybody else you like to punt with for today? Because to me, I'm on the same. I prefer Ryan Yarborough to Logan Allen. I think both are definitely worthy considerations. I do prefer Yarborough, but are there any contrary? These guys are also fairly contrarian. I mean, this has become a small slate now. These guys are about 12% owned. So they're both contrarian options. But is there anybody super low owned that you like sub 7K?
No.
All right.
Not low owned. No, Logan Allen's the other guy. He's in San Francisco. Not much else needs to be said there.
All right. So let's talk on the FanDuel side of things. And if we're talking cash games for FanDuel, but keep in mind, we're not talking like for tournaments or anything. One thing that is definitely interesting on the FanDuel side of things, there is no chalk. I can't remember a slate where, let me refresh to make sure I'm looking at the most recent numbers. Is this true that no pitcher is more than 13% owned on FanDuel?
Yep, I saw that earlier. Didn't quite believe it because I think Chris Sale will be north of 20% if that game plays. But I think the trepidation of the weather probably keeps it somewhat in check. So you're looking at a good situation no matter what on FanDuel, where I think you can play unlimited amounts of Valdez and Sale at this ownership and just nothing else and probably make money over any long-term sample size.
I will say that now that I refreshed the ownership and looked at it, Logan Allen is projected to be the most popular pitcher on FanDuel. So at first I thought that's crazy to play Logan Allen in cash games. It's still not my preference, but considering he's the most popular pitcher, I don't think it's the worst play in the world. I think different about it. Now I looked at the updated ownership. My preference is still to play Chris Sale in FanDuel cash though.
Yeah. So let's have this conversation. I think FanDuel has a really fun wrinkle. It's applicable to DK as well, but the late swap wrinkle, when it comes to one pitcher site, you have the benefit in cash games of knowing exactly what the ownership of Chris Sale is. So my guess is that if Chris Sale has a bad outing, play Logan Allen and play the best bats and just move on with your life. But if Chris Sale has a great outing, you better hope you can just flip that into Framber Valdez. So like you're probably playing Ohtani, you're probably playing some other guys. I think this is a really good cash late swap FanDuel slate, which is a weird thing to say. And that sounded really murky the way I said it. But like, I do think getting away from Chris Sale and cash makes a lot of sense today on FanDuel.
I'm still inclined to just go Chris Sale because it's not that difficult to fit him in. And I get it. It's a big park upgrade for Logan Allen, or you get the salary saving there with Taj Bradley. But I'm still inclined to just go with Chris Sale there. So is Logan Allen going to be your final answer then?
No. So what I'm saying is that if Chris Sale gets bludgeoned, play Logan Allen, punt, have the best bats. Like truly, because Logan Allen, it's hard for him to fail and have anything work out against you. Like if Chris Sale puts up 20, 25, I'd just play Logan Allen and have the best bats. But if Chris Sale puts up 55, I'm probably going to shift some lineups around, or might shift my cash game lineup around to be Framber Valdez, just because it's like, well, shit, there's no chance. And like Logan Allen could put up 30, but you'd need like Ohtani homer. You'd need like some other things to kind of work your way. I'd probably go to Valdez in cash in the event that Chris Sale put up like a lights out outing and I didn't play him in cash on FanDuel.
And then is there a pitcher you prefer for tournaments on FanDuel? Once again, keeping in mind, Logan Allen's 15% projected owned. Chris Sale is 13% projected owned. Every other FanDuel pitcher sub 10% owned. This is the flattest pitcher ownership I can remember on any slate of the entire season, especially for one of this size. So which way do you lean for tournaments? I've got a guy that I like for GPPs on FanDuel.
Oh no, you're going to say Patrick Corbin.
No, Framber Valdez. It's 7% owned Valdez.
Jam. Yeah, he's a jam at that number. I love that.
So
it'll open
10-3, so he's expensive, still $500 less than Chris Sale, but yeah, for half of the ownership of Sale, I like going to Framber Valdez on FanDuel. Taj Bradley sub 10% owned at $8,400. I think he looks pretty good. Really, all the pitchers we talked about that we liked on DraftKings, I think also look good on FanDuel. The one pitcher who I think looks considerably worse on FanDuel relative to DraftKings is Bubic, though.
Agreed.
$10,100, so there's not quite the same gap in his salary compared to Sale and Valdez. I also don't think he has the same strikeout upside as those guys. So Bubic is having a great season, but also on top of it, don't really love the matchup against Texas. I know that Texas has struggled a little bit as of late, but it's still not a matchup I look at and be like, oh, that's an easy matchup going forward or anything like that. So I prefer Valdez and Sale to Chris Bubic. And once again, all the ownership fairly flat over on FanDuel. Anything else you want to add about pitching for tonight?
Nope. I feel pretty confident on FanDuel. Play a lot of Valdez, play a lot of Sale, and move on with your day. On DK, kind of the same way, but I also think mixing in Ryan Yarborough, mixing in Logan Allen makes a ton of sense as your SP2.
Kind of thought this was funny. Nicholas Robertson in chat said, Jose Altuve fucked me over yesterday. What a bizarre slate, because the Astros ended up being really popular. Yep. They scored a ton of runs, and the entire top of the order sucked. Like, all the chalky guys on the team were bad, and then it was like Cam Smith and the other guys at the bottom of the lineup. It was like, yeah, like, what was it? It was the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters or something like that ended up going nuts.
Hummel put up infinity points too. It was like going back in time. What year is it? Like Cooper Hummel and Mauricio Dubois, like, just get out of here. Cam Smith, though, he's going to be a good baseball player. I do like that kid quite a bit.
Yeah, so you had Pena was super popular leading off. He didn't do anything. Isaac Paredes, he was actually good in the 2-hole. Altuve, Ofer. Yanier Diaz, who was super popular. Whatever, he had 7 fantasy points, kind of a wash there. Like, nothing good, nothing really all that bad. But then you had Christian Walker was really good. Jake Myers was good. Smith hit 2 homers. Dubon homered. Hummel homered as well. So yeah, I can't remember a time where the ideal way it ended up being to stack a team was the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters. I can't remember
Boston Red Sox circa 2017 Jackie Bradley Jr. 9-hole. The Jackie Bradley Jr. 9-hole days were insane, because we would get on slates, like MLB slates, where Jackie Bradley Jr. out of the 9-hole would be like 40% owned. Do you remember those?
I remember when he was really bad on offense. He might have had like one decent, I think it was maybe one good offensive season.
One season where he would be in the 9-hole and Boston wouldn't move him, because like he just kind of started to figure it out, like in a Byron Buxton way. And he just was hitting homers out of the 9-hole nonstop. And he ended up having a couple of slates where he was infinity giga chalk at like sub 3K on DK. And he would still be like 40% owned and hit a jack. And I would lose my mind, Greg. I would lose my mind. But anyway,
I can't imagine that.
No, those Boston teams, I hated them so much. Yeah, Josh Gilliam knows. Josh Gilliam knows exactly what I'm talking about. His price would be like 2.7, and he would be 40% owned. And I'm like, this is the most fish slate of all time. And I'd play a ton on it. And sure enough, Jackie Bradley Jr. Oppo Taco over the Green Monster for no reason whatsoever.
The end of Jackie Bradley's career was not great. He had so the last year he played in the big leagues was 2023. He played in 43 games that year, Eric. What would you guess his WRC plus was? Final season to big leagues for Jackie Bradley Jr.
16.
Lower.
8.
Lower.
4.
Lower.
I've divided by 2 each one. 2.
Divide it by half one more time. You got the answer.
1.
It was 1. Jackie Bradley Jr. And also, he played in 43 games. So not that he played the entire season or anything like that, but 43 games is still somewhat of a sample size. He played in 43 games. He had a 133, 188, 210 slash line.
210 slugging. That's lovely. That's special. That's some special batting. That's like us grabbing a bat and just going into the batter's box and like accidentally bunt tipping one and being fair a couple of times. Like, just incredible stuff.
Yeah, he played in 43 games and had a total of 14 hits.
Unbelievable. Also unbelievable, we have no news on Cincinnati. We have no news on Cincinnati.
I mean, I'm still inclined to just say fade it. People in chat are asking, is it going to get postponed? I still think that's the most likely outcome. I can't guarantee it, but I don't think it's super likely to play all the way through.
Either do I. Wow. What a slate.
All right, let's move on to talking about some stacks then. And before we get there, want to remind you guys one more time that we do have a deal going on for new Portfolio EV users just for today. If you are new to OddsShopper Portfolio EV, you could sign up with the promo code VLAD, and you get 1 week access for just $1, and that stacks on top of our 1 week free trial. So you'd be getting 14 days for $1. First 7 days for free. Your next 7 days is just going to be $1. Sign up with that promo code Vlad. This offer is only good to new users, and it is going to be ending at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that is in an hour and 15 minutes from now. So take advantage before that deal goes away. For anybody else, if you do want to sign up, link down below in the YouTube description box. Eric, stacks. First thing I want to know from you, single entry. You're building a stack, one team to roster for single entry. Which team are you choosing as the stack to build around?
The Baltimore Orioles.
And why?
Taj Bradley's going to pull quite a bit of ownership in this mid-range, and it just feels as though my lineups are going skewed towards expensive pitcher, cheap pitcher. I think getting leverage on this slate, if you're going to find it, now you're going to find it in a Taj Bradley, who hasn't exactly been revelatory. I mean, the starting staff has been a lot better top to bottom here for the Rays here of late, which is why they've gone on a surge the last few weeks. But I think Baltimore is just kind of one of those spots that's just so unbelievably due in our tools as well. I mean, you look at the top stacks tool, Taj Bradley pulling quite a bit of ownership. We're getting sub 5% ownership on Baltimore in this AAA ballpark. I feel pretty good about that, Greg. And I really don't want to be stacking up against Logan Allen there with San Francisco for leverage. I don't really want to be stacking up. Like, the Angels are pretty interesting now, too, if that game ends up playing and Ryan Yarbrough shoots up in ownership. But I think Taj Bradley, I feel the most secure, is going to be popular. It's a phenomenal hitting environment. And Baltimore, despite being dog shit this year, they've got a lot of quality hitters. And I think they're probably the easiest to mix into lineups, with Kobe Mayo there at 2,500, Gary Sanchez 2,400. With Sale and Valdez there, I like Baltimore. That's going to be the one I roll out in single entry.
So Sniffs1234 asked us in the Discord channel, are we concerned with Houston, considering that Severino, not typically a homer-prone pitcher, and that they're highly owned? They're not really too for the size of this slate. 9% ownership isn't all that problematic to me. We got the Astros 9% owned, 11% chance to be the top stack, 11% chance to be the top value stack on the slate. I do tend to think they're going to be the most popular team in single entry. So not the team that's my preferred option for single entry, although still viable. But no, I'm good with stacking the Astros. I don't think they're over-owned for today. I think the 9% ownership, if anything, is light. We've got them as the most positively leveraged team on the entire slate outside of the Baltimore Orioles in the top stacks tool.
Yeah, I like getting to Houston a lot. I'm going to play them out of my other lineups. I'm probably going to get to a pretty sizable amount of them. I'm just kind of looking at for single entry. I think Houston's going to end up really popular still. We'll see. Again, we get the benefit of late swap. So I'm going to know the Yankees ownership. The Yankees ownership is the one that I'm nervous about. The weather looks like it's held off. Jack Akinawich, I think we can confirm say is not very good at the pitching yet. Yep. Confirm not very good at the pitching. Very potent Yankee lineup. My thing is that how do you play him with Valdez and Sale right now? Like, I just don't see how you get to this lineup. There's no cheapies whatsoever. So by default, the way that I'm building, the way that my pitching exposure sits at, I just can't play the Yankees. And I'll get an idea of where that ownership lands because I'll have that information. I can kind of adjust Houston. I'll have a nice little gap there to be able to maneuver things around. Baltimore, Tampa doesn't start till 7:35. So I get an extra half hour to build out lineups.
Yeah, so I love the Yankees for large field tournaments, single entry, because the reasons you said, if my preferred pitching combo for single entry is going to be Framber Valdez and Chris Sale.
Oh my God.
What?
Cincy late start.
Yeah, I don't think that game plays. I don't think it plays. It is definitely annoying situation, but I don't think that game is going to play. Malukar says Chicago is rain. Guess what? Both the games have been canceled, so easy to deal with there. Just don't play them. Games aren't playing. Same for me. I mean, I'd already removed that game from the Sims we're showing on screen. Nothing changes.
What is happening? This is just so frustrating, Greg. I'm kind of inclined to keep in the bats now.
The weather looks worse later than earlier for that game. The chance of rain goes up throughout the night in Cincinnati.
Yeah, let's late start. This is great.
Well, I think they're just waiting it out, seeing if maybe there's a window. The AL team versus NL team, they don't see each other all that often. I think they postpone and do a doubleheader tomorrow.
A window on a wall till the sweat dropped on your ball. I guess balls, because plural, I have two of them, but you know what I mean.
Almost all my bets are going to get voided today. Kind of annoying, but what can you do?
Not a thing we can do. We can't do anything. And I'm not going to advise people. Like, what I think is the most interesting is just parlaying Ober and Lodolo K unders. Like, I think that's the best way to maybe encapsulate some upside in that game. Like, parlay the two unders.
I've already got the unders on both of them just because they projected well in Portfolio EV earlier. So I've got, I don't even, whatever, I think Bailey Ober's strikeout prop is like 4.5, but plus 120 on the under, and then Lodolo at under 5.5 strikeouts. So I've already got them because they projected well as is. This is a nice added benefit, but I don't think the game is going to play. I say people should be fading it for DFS. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I'm nervous about the bats because the bats are in a phenomenal spot on both sides. Boy, oh boy, I hate baseball sometimes. And this is one of them. And we've had a pretty good stretch of weather this year so far. So maybe it's just kind of making up for lost time all in one day. But like, haven't had anything catastrophic happen to us yet this year. This one feels like one that's going to go against us in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know how. Like, either Abbott spins a gem, 10 strikeouts, or, Twins bats go off for 10 and you need them. Who's Eric's 5-man O's? I have, 5-man O's. I have a lot of the Orioles for what it's worth. Just making it work salary-wise. Laureano, my highest owned out of everybody there. Clean up, cheap tag at 3,500.
My favorite stack for single entry today, Eric. Here's a team that in the past, anytime teams were going up against this pitcher, they would be super, super popular. He's been okay this year, and it seems like people have kind of stopped stacking against him. Give me the Kansas City Royals against Patrick Corbin. I get that Corbin's numbers, they're not great this year. They're not terrible either. 3.66 ERA, 4.02 expected ERA. This is a guy who's had an ERA and an expected ERA north of 5 every single season for the last 5 years now. I think the other shoe is going to end up dropping with Patrick Corbin sooner rather than later. Every single projection model still has him as a guy who should have an ERA over 5 for the rest of the season. I like being able to roster a fairly low-owned Royals offense against Patrick Corbin. That's the direction I like going in single entry. On top of it, they're fairly cheap, so we could fit in Framber Valdez and Chris Sale with a Royal stack. So that's a team I like getting to, Eric. Do you have any feels for stacking against Patrick Corbin tonight?
He can't keep getting away with it. That's the way I feel about most of the guys that I stack against in single entry. I feel that way again tonight. So go team. I'm here for it. I don't love it because I do think there's just so many good game environments. Tampa, Baltimore. Also, Tampa Bay is going up. We're just going to really buy into Rodgers being a very functional, very serviceable pitcher now right from the get-go because of one start. I don't know how I feel about it. I think he's the most talented Baltimore arm, but he was in Boston. Nobody had seen him yet. 6 1/3 there, 2 hits. I think more than likely he's good, but I love the game environment, trying to fire up something from Tampa. It's just, I'm not sold on it. I don't think anybody else knows what to do with it either. And Arlington is just a shit ballpark, Greg. I mean, that is just a shit ballpark. When's the last time we had any team win a GPP out of that ballpark?
If I had to guess, the Rangers, but I don't remember when.
Wow. Thanks so much for all of your great analysis on this show.
Let's see. I'm going to look at the schedule and let you know. All right. So it wasn't the last few games. Okay. The Rangers did put up 16 runs against the Twins, but that was on the road. There is a little bit of a caveat here because they went on a really long road trip. Here's going to be your answer, though. May 30th, they put up 11 runs at home against the Cardinals. I know that feels like a really long time ago, but it's actually 5 games ago. And they also had an 8-run game against the Cardinals. Yeah, it's not as long ago as you might think.
I hate that ballpark so much. I hate it with the fury of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, so in their last 6 home games, the Rangers have had a game where they scored 11 runs, another one where they scored 8 runs.
Okay. Well, you win, Greg. Actually, I don't even know we bet anything on it.
We didn't. But yeah, they had a 2-week road trip, which was something that definitely took some of those games out of consideration. Either way, I like stacking against Patrick Corbin today. Amongst the popular stacks, what do you want to do with them? And once again, nothing is crazy popular today, but 10% ownership to the Yankees, 10% ownership to the Dodgers, 9% ownership to the Astros. If you're ranking the three most popular teams, once again, Astros, Dodgers, Yankees, how do you rank those teams in terms of order of significance to you?
Astros 1, Dodgers 2, Yankees 3, not remotely close.
Astros 1, Yankees 2, Dodgers 3 for me, though.
Got it.
Yankees going up
Dodgers
against
3. I know cock sucks, but we're very much in the camp that right now that we should, in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to even go there. I mean, I'm just thinking about the late swap element to it too, and getting more information. But if the Yankees put up 12, you're going to need them. So, I'm not going to say anything against that entirely, but I will say the one team I'm a little surprised to not see pulling as much ownership. Let me make sure that that's still true. Yeah, the Arizona Diamondbacks against Eric Lauer. This dude is set up for major negative regression. Talked about it a little bit last night as well. You love to look at strand rates, and you love to identify a lot of that. Do you know Eric Lauer, his strand rate this season?
Based on what you just said, I'm going to guess somewhere around 90%.
Yeah, it's just absurd. Right now, 90.2%.
All right, I was pretty damn close, 0.2% off.
You were wrong. 4.42 xFIP. Just an unbelievable lucky stretch for Eric Lauer. And this is a team, Arizona, that leads the league in runs last year, and this year not so far behind it against Southpaws. Obviously, Ketel Marte needs to start joining the party a little bit, but got Eugenio Suarez, Randall Grichuk in there, 17.6% K rate. They never strike out. They're going to give you opportunities at the plate. I don't know. I kind of like Arizona as another sneaky stack, but obviously there's no leverage to be had there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be leverage. Just kind of talking about any other team that isn't one of the more popular teams on the slate. The one that I'll add to the mix is the Atlanta Braves against Paul Blackburn. I wasn't a big fan of Paul Blackburn in the past when his numbers weren't really all that horrific. He only went a third of an inning in his last start because he got absolutely lit up. And now you've also got a Mets team that used a lot of their high leverage relievers yesterday, a game that went to extra innings against the Braves. It should be less of an issue on the Braves side because they got Chris Sale on the mound. He could probably give them extended innings. I do not feel very good about Paul Blackburn, by the way. His over-under for outs today is 14.5, heavily juiced towards the under. We could see the Braves getting in the Mets bullpen pretty early today, and pulling up the game from last night because I want to read off the bullpen arms who pitched for the Mets. We ended up getting yesterday. The Mets went through Garrett, who's got a 1.23 ERA. Edwin Diaz, their closer, was a 2.15 ERA. And then Brazaban also, who ended up getting the loss at the end of the game, 1.62 ERA. They'd used their three best relievers in that extra innings game last night, so it's unclear who is going to be available out of the Mets bullpen. Combine that with a weak starting pitcher. I like stacking the Braves against Paul Blackburn. The Braves are also only 4% owned.
Don't mind that whatsoever. I think Ty Adcock probably eats a lot of the innings. He pitched 40 pitches on Sunday. That's the guy who they brought out when they're getting absolutely shelled. Justin Garza, somebody who's kind of live for that as well. These are both AAA guys that they brought up to potentially be their long reliever types, and they're not good. Both righties as well, so it keeps the lineup somewhat intact there with Verdugo. When you talk about pinch hit risk and looking at some of the pieces in that bullpen, what it can look like. I mean, that's usually a lot of the unders that I play that aren't strictly off of Portfolio EV. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes, like Jose Castillo is the only lefty that the New York Mets have in that bullpen. He's the only guy on a day in, day out. They'll utilize him if there are back-to-back lefties that exist within a lineup. Fortunately, that is not the case here at Atlanta today. So you're looking in a pretty good situation because Albies kind of from the right side kind of splits up the Baldwin Harris piece. But yeah, there's pinch hit concern for Alex Verdugo specifically.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about as far as stacks go? And also, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're looking to sign up for any of our DFS packages, link down below in the YouTube description box. Eric, any other final stacks you want to talk about? If not, home run picks, and we'll wrap up for the day.
Let's wrap up.
All right. So with that in mind, YouTube, you guys know the deal. Let us know who you're picking to homer today, and we'll be reading that off here on the show. Why is this not changing? There we go. That was weird. Anyway, dong of the day time. Oh, sorry. We got a late super chat here from Coley Poston, and then we'll get to the dong of the day. Coley Poston wants to know, Sale and Valdez with 4 Rays and 4 O's. Not my preferred stack for single entry, but I don't hate it either. It's a great ballpark, obviously, and the Rays, the Orioles going to be going up against each other there. So if the hitting conditions end up being super favorable, maybe the ump has a small strike zone or something like that, then yeah, you could certainly see it go off. It's not the lineup I would play, but I don't hate it either. Yeah,
there's just better ideas. I mean, I like the idea of 5-3. I have no problem with that. But 4-4, you are asking for, every example that you just kind of laid out there. You're asking for a lot of things to kind of go your direction. I do have 5-2 right now. Looking at one of my other lineups going through 5-3. But yeah, single entry, I'm just playing 5 Baltimore, and that's it. And then it's Houston.
Yeah. Like I said, no issue for me. My preferred stack for single entry is the Royals against Patrick Corbin. My overall favorite stack for large field tournaments, it is the Houston Astros against Luis Severino. Also like the Yankees a good amount against Jack Koknowitz. But yeah, once again, those other 2 teams, I mean, we've got the Orioles as being under-owned in the Sims. We got the Rays being as about appropriately owned in our top stacks tool. So it's not the end of the world if you stack those teams. But Eric, dong of the day, who are you picking to go yard tonight?
Yeah, it's funny because Willie Castro is now in a weather spot. Michael Toglia is waiting for his game to start. And Gavin Sheets is the other guy on my betting card. So this is going to be exclusive to just what we're paying attention to here. Ramon Laureano, batting 4th. I brought up Taj Bradley. Has not exactly enjoyed his time against righties so far this season and giving up a lot of fly ball contact to them as well. I think Laureano, just where his price tag is sitting at, what we're getting here, I thought I was going to play a lot of Willie Castro at 3,400. Some of that is turned into Gavin Sheets against Sheehan, batting 4th, and that is somebody that I did bet. But from a DFS perspective for today, Ramon Laureano goes yard for us.
Listen, if I like getting to the Kansas City Royals against Patrick Corbin, I got to go with Bobby Witt Jr. as my home run pick for the night. And now for chat, let's see what you guys have cooked up for tonight. We've got, scrolling up. All right, Ethan Bamba. He is going with Curtis Mead. There we go. There's an off-the-wall home run pick to open it up here. Sotex has got Jose Ramirez. Tom Olson, believe it or not, is going with Matt Olson. Andrew D has got Ketel Marte. Aaron Hines has got Jordan Westberg. Malukar is going with Brent Rooker. Rooster Slinky has got Randall Grichuk. Ricardo Nelson going with Ronald Acuna Jr. Don't hate that at all. I think that anytime we go with Acuna, looks like a pretty... I can't believe how Acuna's had no ill effects at all of tearing both his ACLs, missing 2 full years. Last night, he makes an incredible game-saving catch and turns into a double play up against the wall. Athleticism still all there, despite the mounting injuries in his career. Elliott has got Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Nicholas Robertson has got Vlad. We've got Fact74 going with Fernando Tatis. Wookie 23 has got Addison Barger. B-Funk has also got Bobby Witt Jr. Casey Leatherwood going with Mikael Garcia. We've got Damani Tatum. He is picking 3 homers today. He has got Ohtani, Judge, and Eugenio Suarez. NY Stiegel also has Aaron Judge. Malukar says that he has quit playing Aaron Judge. Listen, the last I looked, Aaron Judge's home run odds at FanDuel, I think, was plus 110 today, Eric. So picking Aaron Judge to not homer today, at least from an odds perspective, isn't all that different than picking him to homer. Jellybean has got Steven Kwan. Reg Kell has got Edwin Diaz. Clintwood 83 going with Fernando Tatis. Marvin says that Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor homer off of Chris Sale. So not even saying the bullpen of Atlanta. He's going specifically against Sale, both of them to homer. Ram 33 has got Cody Bellinger. CPA Joe K has got Yandy Diaz. K Thumbs going to Cooper Hummel to homer again today. Benny Tingman has got Cody Bellinger. De Alabama Jones has got Paul Goldschmidt. We've got Mark Hanna from Trip. And we've got Colton Cowser from Ryan Stubbs. Dre Nitty has got Westberg and O'Hop. We've got Doug Dobbs going with Salvador Perez. Barnaby O'Toole has got Christian Kirk. KB has got Corbin Cowell for 2 homers. And then finally, Pierre is going with Ernie Clement. Guys, thank you very much for watching. One more time, if you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.